not an inkling of light. The part that was really scary was the fact that people were still clubbing. These people had lanterns and the club was open and they were still in there partying. During this time period, it was rationings. There was no water. There was some food, but there was no water. And I had water, and so I had put water in these clear containers, but it was only like drop amounts, like it was very small amounts, and I was giving them to people who hadn't had water. And people were consuming alcohol. It was so crazy. And there were men that were like going around harming people because they didn't have the things that they needed. And it was just a very dark time. And so this dream is clear. Just prepare the way of the Lord. It is a very dark time coming. A blackout is coming.
Or I don't believe God shows you anything. I believe God shows me everything. I believe that God talks to me in my dreams in so many ways. And when something is about to happen or go down, like literally God gives me a vision, a dream. So I'm not trying to have anybody interpret anything. It's just I know when I have these dreams, and it's like, this is not the first time that I had a dream of war. This is a feeling that made me feel like it's coming sooner than you would think. And all I was like, I was in my dream, I was crying, I was praying, and I could feel, it was like I was crying and praying, but I also can feel the pain of the people. I can feel their emotions in the dream. I can feel how they was in distress and scared and fearful. But it was like I wasn't scared and fearful. It was just like I was just calling on to God, because it's like at this point, like only person that can handle this is God. So in the dream, I was right here in my house, and I had my cousins over here, my brothers and sisters was over here for some reason, and we was outside in the back on my deck, and out of nowhere it was like military everywhere. They was in this, I try to make sure I pay attention to everything, every detail. So I'm just paying attention, zooming in, and they had on all black. I was like, I ain't never seen military with all black. They had on all black. They had like, it was so much stuff going on. And it was like, give me your ID. Give me your ID. They was like asking for our IDs to verify. Like, I don't know why, but it was just like, give me our ID. And I'm like, that's stupid. So next thing you know, the train was going really fast, and it came off the track, and it's just stuff like right behind my house is a train track. So the train fell off, and all this stuff, material came out or whatever. And next thing you know, I can feel the emotions of the people. I can feel the cry and the hurt and the confusion of the people of like, what's going on? Why is this happening? But while they saying that, I'm looking up to the sky, and the whole sky is filled with like military helicopters, military jets, military everything. So I'm like, it's like I could feel how the people feeling, but also I'm feeling some type of way too. So I just wasn't scared. I just broke out in prayer and crying out to God, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And then I got this straight into my head, like as I was thinking this while I'm sleeping and when I woke up, and it said, don't worry, because these things are meant to happen, and these things are meant to take place. You know what I'm saying? He said, don't worry, but prepare yourself for my coming. Time is ticking. Things is about to unfold. Things is about to happen, and we're going to see it in our lifetime. We're going to see it in our generation, and our children's generation. They're going to see it too.
Now, I had a dream that America was in a great deal of trouble. It seemed like it was some sort of judgment. And all of the countries was surrounding America, every last one. And they all had their nuclear missiles pointed at America. And everybody was just standing there staring at the missiles. Like the missiles were so close, getting ready to, hit us. And the people was like trembling, like in fear. They didn't know what to do, so they just stood there. The two countries that was leading all the other countries was China and Russia. And then they made a point to all the other countries that told them to shoot off their missiles. So all the missiles shot off and everything vanished. Some people survived, but majority of the population died. Now this is the dream that I had. The people that made it, that was still alive, they end up dying by the radiation, the chemicals from the missiles. And the only people that survived were the people that was chosen by the Most High. And they had like some sort of symbol or mark on their foreheads. They were covered. The chemicals, the radiation did not impact them. The impact by the missiles did not impact them. They were totally well and thriving. They were certainly covered. And I woke up. But I've been feeling like this and for several days. I think like a week now. I just want to know if anybody else has been feeling like this. I don't mean to ramble. I truly want to know. I know something's going on. I haven't forgot about CERN and all the things that they're doing with that. But things are changing drastically. And just let me know in the comments.
So I have had multiple dreams of the coming invasion to America by foreign troops, but I'm going to be sharing two of them. So the first dream that I had was December 31st, 2022. I'm going to be reading out of my notebook. At my mom's house, I looked out the window and saw warplanes in the sky. There were a lot of them. It was dark outside. I remember telling my family they're here and showing them because we always talked about it but never knew when it would happen. And the noise coming from those planes that filled up the sky was so frightening. We started looking for hiding spots. I opened the closet door and got inside and tried to see where my daughter would fit. My sister was able to fit inside also. I ran and grabbed my holy oil and started anointing the doors and windows of my mom's house. It was daylight outside, so this took place like in the middle of the night going into the morning. So I put holy oil on the front door and I started praying. My sister was trying to interrupt my prayer by asking me a question, but I continued. And when I finished, I said, my sister's name, "Are you really going to interrupt me while I'm having a conversation with God?" And she apologized because she was looking for something, because the scene was like so chaotic. Everybody was in a hurry trying to get things in order, trying to get things in place. So I then went over to the window to anoint the window by the front door. And I started praying over it for God to protect this entryway so the soldiers wouldn't come in. And outside was very chaotic still, with planes and noise in the sky. I remember thinking to myself, like, there must be 1 million troops in America by now, because there were so many planes like over the state of Florida alone. So I looked out the front window, and I saw my brother walking down the sidewalk. Now my brother, he doesn't stay with my mom. He stays over like 4 hours away. So I saw him walking down the sidewalk with his suitcase, walking up to the door, and we were all excited that he was there. So my sister, for whatever reason, opened the front door and a part of the window broke. I remember asking her why. Like, why did she open the door? Why did she break the window. Then I saw a green army truck driving into the neighborhood. I told my family, it's time. They're about to come and start pulling us out of our homes and putting us into camps. And then I woke up. Now, the next dream I had was recently, which was January 25th, 2024. I didn't write this dream down, so I'm going based off memory. I'm sorry, I did write it down on my phone, but since I'm recording on my phone, I can't read from it. So, in this dream, I was in an apartment complex. It was, I was with my mom. I remember her being there, and some other people that I don't know. Like, I don't know. They were in my dream, but I don't know these people, like, in real life. So we were all in this apartment complex, and we were in a front room, and there was 2 clowns in our front room. So we apparently had hired these 2 clowns to come out and entertain us for whatever reason. I don't know if there was a kid's birthday party or what was going on, but we hired them to be there. So as they're entertaining and doing what clowns do, I looked out my front window and I see planes in the sky, and I see paratroopers. Now, as these paratroopers got closer, I noticed that these paratroopers were clowns, the same clowns that were sitting in our front room. I'm sorry, they were in our front room. So as I noticed this, I go to my mom and I tell my mom, I'm like, look outside, they're here. And she didn't believe me at first because she was busy having fun, enjoying the party or whatever. So she came up to the window and she seen it for herself. So that's when me and her, we went to this back room that was, it was next to the living room, but it was like in a cut. And we went to this back room. Everybody else in the house, we all like huddled up together in this back room to discuss what was going on. And these were my exact words. I said, they're agents. They're agents. Like, they not clowns for real. They not who we think they are. Like, they're agents. They're working with them people. Like, they're soldiers. They're agents, is what I was saying. Now, in a dream, I could also see that the clowns were able to hear me. They were able to hear us having this conversation. And they were sitting on the couch and they were listening. And then one of them, like, pulled a gun off their hip, like, starting to pulling their gun out. So after that, they got up, they stood up, and they started walking like towards us. So we started moving around, you know, getting nervous because we didn't know what they was going to do after that. But they ended up leaving out the back door. So after that, as they're leaving out, one of the guys who I guess lived there with us, he invited his friend to come inside for whatever reason. I can also hear some other people in another room in the house having a conversation, and they're like, we have Russia, we have China, 2 of the most powerful countries, and now look, they're here. This is what they were saying. And then it was another guy that I ran into inside the house, and he was just acting like nothing happened, like he was unaware of anything that was going on. So I grabbed him and I said, they about to come and put you in a camp. Like, wake up, like to try to get his attention. Like, wake up, they about to come and put you in a camp. Do you know what's going on right now? So after that, the scene switched and I ended up in the kitchen on the floor. And what I said out of my mouth was, millions will die. Those were the exact words that I said. Millions will die. So this is what I'm saying. Yes, America, the United States of America, aka Mystery Babylon, will be invaded by Russia, China, and other allies that are going to be with them. We will go to war. And a lot of things, and one thing that the body of got to realize is that God is a God of judgment. He's not just peace. He's not just peace and love and all rainbows. No, of course he is a God of love. Of course he loves each and every one of us. He wished that no man shall perish. But he is also a God of judgment. And we should have a holy fear of the Lord because he don't play. If y'all read y'all Bibles, y'all will know that God said he don't play. And he also said, I don't change. I'm the same God yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord, to Mystery Babylon, the United States of America.
Smoke, and I can feel the smell. You can even taste it when it goes off. And I was only 18 years old, and I remember waking up, and I was like, man, you know, that is a bad dream. I was still in denial at the time about my visions, but that was the first time I seen the nukes go off. So in one of my videos, I speak about Russia, how Russia will invade the United States. And I've seen that so many people say, oh, well, Russia can't even invade Ukraine. With the help of other people, they will certainly invade us. They will invade us from the inside out. I had a vision where a Russian soldier, they were in my household. It was not my house at the time. It was somebody else's, but it was a shelter. And I was not a hostage, but I was, how can I say this? They weren't mean to me. The Russian soldiers weren't mean to me. But it was like I was in captivity, but they had respect for me. That's what I seen. And they were in my home. And they were running things. They were in the streets. They were everywhere. And they were they were the top dog, as people say. I seen Russian soldiers everywhere. Russia would invade us along with other countries. So you can just read the book of Isaiah chapter 13. It talks about how nations from far away, they come from the mountains. They're mustering up a plot against the United States of America. So when we see these immigrants or these foreigners coming in, make no mistake, this is a part of biblical prophecy and God's judgment towards the United States of America. So these things are not because of a certain administration, as people believe that it's administration that is causing all these things. This is a part of God's judgment. I had a vision where I was looking at a bird's eye view, an area view, when I think it was like 23 years old, and I seen each nation fall like dominoes. And it was horrendous because the world was basically collapsing and nations were falling. In this recent vision I seen this war that started overseas. It began to grow. It's currently still growing now as we speak. And I tried to warn people months ago that we were currently in a war, and it's silent for now. Now we're seeing the evidence of the war. Now the war is going to get louder and it's going to speak a louder volume. We're going to hear about other nations getting involved in this war we never would think get involved, right? And so in this vision, I can see just nations just going against each other. And I can see soldiers breaking into American homes and Americans fighting back and using weapons. It was a whole civil war going on. It was a war with the soldiers and civilians. It was, civilians going against soldiers. Back in the day when I had my visions, I used to witness soldiers gunning people down in the middle of the streets. Even American soldiers were gunning down their own people during this time because it was so chaotic. You got to understand the mind frame of people when these things are going to happen. So you got to be rooted and grounded in Christ and have his protection during these last days. So people minds, they're not going to comprehend exactly what is going on. It's going to be completely chaotic. So in this vision, the recent one I had that God gave me, it was chaotic, and the war is just, it was up to here. And I could remember I was walking like the Shenandoah Valley, and I was just walking. Seems like for a very long time, but I could see people passing me. And I'm thinking to myself, the war is back there. Won't you walk far away from the war? And I could, in the vision, I'm saying this to myself, and I was just walking. I had no idea where I was going. And as I was walking, I could just see these people. They were talking and they were chatting like they had not a care in the world. And all of a sudden, I just seen and smelled and witnessed a huge nuke go off. And I woke up. And I knew what it all meant. I knew. And God is pouring out his heart to his people. And the reason I am wearing this black, because God asked me to and said, this is, I want you to show them how there will be much mourning, that it is ahead, much mourning that is ahead, especially for America and Babylon and the world. There will be great mourning. God is upset at these things. He is not happy. He is displeased. This is a time where we're going to see these things happen. The biblical prophecies will fulfill themselves, regardless of if you believe that God is real or he's not. His prophecies will fulfill himself. In the book of Joel, chapter 3, it talks about the judgment against the nations. So God has judged the nations. People believe that, oh, well, this administration, that is administration. None of that matters, because they are all the same. We are on this beast system, right? So we are on this slave system where they are the same. It's the same quarter, heads or tails, same bird, right wing, left wing. It's the same bird, right? So the things that are happening, they're going to happen. They're supposed to happen because God is the ultimate judge. No administration has any authority unless given to them by God, okay, to do such things. So no country has any authority unless it is given to them by God to do such things. God has granted other countries to do these things to America. The reason why he has granted these other countries to do things to America, because this is a part of our judgment, okay? This is our judgment.
Last night, I had a dream. And when I woke up this morning, I couldn't help but to feel so sad for this world, so sad for my family, so sad for the people that I call my friends. I've been crying almost all day because of this dream. And let me just get this out of the way now. I am not a prophet. I don't call myself a prophet. But I've had prophetic dreams before. I've had prophetic visions before. I've had prophetic instincts before. But I don't call myself that. And I usually don't even share my dreams. Because I don't, refer to myself as that, but because of the feeling that arose out of this dream, I just feel like God is telling me to take heed and to warn somebody. So at the beginning of this dream, it was me and a group of my family. We were in this home. I don't know whose house it was at. We was in somebody's house. And oddly enough, we were singing gospel songs, and actually Tamala Man was in my dream, was the one that's actually was singing the gospel songs. And I believe that she was more of a symbol than a person, symbolizing that God's spirit is protecting me, or God's spirit is there. But we began to hear explosions. And we went outside. And the first thing that I did when we went outside is looked up in the sky. And all you could see was war missiles. War missiles. War missiles. Like a whole bunch of them going off and off and off into the sky. You can just see it. And I heard somebody say, I don't know who said it. Somebody said, it's a war. We are under attack. And the moment that person said that, one of the missiles came down and hit the house that we were in. And once the missile hit the house, I look up and see
that all around me is nothing but destruction. Every house that I see is destroyed. Every car is destroyed. Everything is destroyed. And I see people in fear. Either they were in complete fear or confused. And one thing I really noticed, that in the whole dream, I was completely calm. But I was in a spirit of wanting to warn. And I can remember, after seeing the distractions, I can remember telling myself, I need to go warn my grandmother. I need to go see about my grandmother. I goes into my grandmother's house, and she's completely oblivious to what's going on. She was actually at home cooking. She was at home cooking, and she did not know what was going on at all outside. And that scene came and left quickly. And after that scene, I remember myself standing on a road. Mind you, it was pitch black. I couldn't see no house. I couldn't see no tree. I couldn't see no grass. I could just see the road. And on that road was a stream, like a flood of water. A flood of water. A flood of water. Like, it was so much water. And then I began to start seeing people swimming on that water, on that road, on that flood of water. And I can't help but to mention that the people that I was seeing swimming on that water was black folks. There was not one white person in sight swimming on that water. It was nothing but black folks swimming on that water in complete haste. They were just like, we got to get out of here. And that was it. That was a dream. I woke up from the dream and I began to start crying. I was so sad. I was so sad because I think I was more sad because I wanted to warn. I had so many people in mind that I wanted to warn, or I wanted to just tell about this dream, but not one person I know that I probably could have called would have listened to me. Like, I can be honest and say I really have no connection with nobody in my life like that, for real. And I know it's because of the spirit that God has given me. I know because my spirit upsets a lot of people's demons. People probably think that I be lying or I be faking who I truly am or what I, post or present on this platform. People, I know it's a lot of people that really don't care for me, but they care for the idea of me. And that's what makes me sad, because there's so many people that I truly love dearly that I want to share this with, that I just want to, help them through life. But I know that they truly just, they don't want to hear it. But y'all, please take heed. Like I said, I don't call myself a prophet, but I do have prophetic dreams. I've had plenty of dreams that have came to pass. And this dream really did something to my heart. Take heed and be blessed.
TikTok. I go by the name Lovely Unbothered. You see my little sitcoms with the cartoon face, but this is me. I just want to let you know that I love everyone on this planet, man, female, whatever you identify as. But I'm going to share some information with you. I hope you receive it. You can take with it whatever you want. This is my second time making this announcement. I had a dream about 6 months ago about America being under attacked. And these two countries was Russia and China. In the dream, I was standing on a porch and I seen planes fly over my head. And I ran in the house and I was like, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening. And I remember nobody was aware of what was going on. It just happened out of nowhere. It was daytime, regular day, and planes just started coming up from everywhere. And I remember not being ready. I want to tell you something. This is not the only dream I had. I had a dream that Russia and China had came to America. And in the spiritual realm, I can feel they was not trying to help Americans. They was here to do an assignment. There was no pity. They didn't think about children. It was just about their assignment they was on. And they were here on American soil. This is my second warning. Be prepared. Be ready. I just want you to know that, because I have dreams and visions. This is a gift that God gave me. I don't, tell people, because it's, some people don't believe you. They think you're just clout chasing. I'm not a prophet. I'm not an evangelist. I'm just an ordinary, everyday person that's out here trying to make it. And I want to do the right thing by you guys. I've been on high alert in the spiritual realm. Yes, something is coming. When Trump was in office, I had a dream that a nuclear situation happened in NY. I don't know if it's going to happen in NY, but it's going to happen. I don't know when. Just be prepared. Be ready.
It was like a suite, like a presidential suite, the top floor of a hotel room. My mom was there and some of her friends and family members. I know my son was there as well. So we were laughing, talking, having a good time. And then all of a sudden, I look out the window and I see the sky had lit up like purple, blue, and a hint of green. So I run to the window to look outside to see what's happening. And then a couple minutes later, not a couple minutes later, but like maybe 10 seconds later or so, people started to notice and came to the window to see what was happening. So all of a sudden, we started to see the buildings that were in front of us, they started to fall and crumble to the ground. And then the building we were in, about like 10 seconds later, it got blown, like half of it got blown up and it crumbled to the ground. The side where the window was, that whole side of the hotel was completely blown away and gone. So I grabbed my son's hand because somehow we were still alive, and we were standing in the remaining half of the hotel room. So I grabbed my son's hand and I tried to look for my mom, but at that point I didn't see anybody else. And we started to run out of the building. At this point, I saw a whole group of military men, but they weren't U.S. military. I'm not sure where they came from or who they were, but it was a whole group of military soldiers, and they were carrying an AK-47, like huge guns in position, ready to shoot. And me and my son started to run, and we hid behind a tree. And I saw these men chasing down after all of the civilians that were running around screaming. They were chasing them down, going up to them with their guns, asking them if they believed in Jesus. And depending on their answer, I didn't see anybody get shot, but they were capturing the Christian. And I just was praying and hoping that my son would be quiet and that he would be still, that we could be able to hide. And so every time I noticed that we could run to the next tree, we would run to the next tree and then hide. And then I saw the military men, they were talking to each other on walkie-talkies as they were searching through the areas. And they were saying to each other, like, all clear. And basically after that, I'm trying to remember. We just kept running. And when I woke up from the dream, I heard the words Black Death. I immediately broke out crying, like wailing, crying, and that's never happened to me before from a dream. It just felt so real, and I was terrified. I felt hopeless and terrified in the dream, and I just remember waking up and being so happy that that was not reality, that it was only a dream, that I just instantly broke out in tears, wailing, crying, asking, begging God for his mercy because I was terrified. Like, it was frightening.
Y'all, we gotta go back to Santo Domingo. For those of you who are from different, parts of the world, or your parents are born outside of the country. I'm from New York. Usually when things are getting crazy, we tend to say like, oh, I'm going back. Like, and in the dream I was telling them, I was like, we gotta go back to Santo Domingo. We gotta go back. Like, things are getting crazy. Not even 30 seconds later, I see like this aerial view of like the globe, and I see missiles being launched into the United States. And it was literally like chaos. There was pillars falling everywhere, of buildings. It was destruction. Everybody was running. It was World War III. And at the time, I understood that, war is coming, but I didn't know how close it was. And so the Lord is definitely telling his church, get ready, because we're running out of time.
About America. My grandfather saw war here on American soil, and he was really saddened by this dream.
All of the countries was surrounding America, every last one. And they all had their nuclear missiles pointed at America.
I see like this aerial view of like the globe, and I see missiles being launched into the United States. And it was literally like chaos. There was pillars falling everywhere, of buildings. It was destruction. Everybody was running. It was World War III.
When you're in a Western movie and the bundle of wind and sticks roll together in a ball and go across the street, that's how the place looked. It looked desolate. There was nobody. There was no cars. There was no people. There was nothing. It was just dry, as though I was in the midst of a desert.
I pray with all of my heart that the United States never experiences this. But if people continue the way that they're going, we very well might in this lifetime experience that here.